Welcome back to Quarter Dollar, where ordinary pocket change could secretly be worth a fortune. What if I told you that a simple state quarter you tossed in a jar years ago could now be worth over $450,000 or even more? Yes, these aren't fantasy numbers. These are real U.S. quarters that have skyrocketed in value, and collectors are fighting to get their hands on them. And today you might just discover you've been sitting on a jackpot this whole time. So grab your coin jar, pull out that dusty old collection, and pay very close attention. Because in this video, we're uncovering 10 state quarters worth billions now. Up for grabs, and more importantly, how to spot the ones that could make you rich. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what we reveal next. Take a good look at what you see here. At first glance, it just looks like an old beat-up quarter, right? Scratches, dirt, corrosion, nothing fancy. But what if I told you this exact type of quarter has sold at auction for over $450,000? That's right. And yes, it's from 1976, a special year in U.S. coin history. This is the bicentennial quarter, one of the most recognizable coins in American pockets, but with a hidden twist. You see, in 1976, the U.S. Mint released this one-time only design to celebrate 200 years of American freedom. On the reverse, you've got a colonial drummer boy keeping the spirit of independence alive. And on the front, the classic profile of George Washington. But here's where things get interesting, very interesting. The date doesn't say just 1976, it says 1776 to 1976. That double date is your first clue you're holding something different. But this isn't just any bicentennial quarter. From the image, we can see heavy wear, sure. But beneath that grime could be a highly collectible minting error, or even a rare off-metal strike, where the coin was accidentally struck on the wrong type of blank. Now let's talk value, because this is where your heart might skip a beat. A normal circulated bicentennial quarter might be worth just 25 cents, maybe $1 to a beginner collector. But one found with a double die obverse, that's where the front of the coin shows ghosted or doubled lettering, has been sold at auction for over $80,000. But wait, it gets better. Some bicentennial quarters were struck on silver planchets intended only for collector sets. If one of those silver versions was mistakenly released into circulation, like the one you see here, and then paired with a striking error, that's when things go from rare to mind-blowing. We're talking $450,000 in verified auction prices for top-condition, error-rich examples. Even in this worn state, if this quarter shows signs of a misaligned die off-center strike or is struck on a foreign or transitional metal planchet, boom, you've just gone from pocket change to retirement plan. Collectors in their 60s and 70s are scrambling to find these quarters in rolls, jars, and old purses. Some are even hunting them down at estate sales and flea markets. The reason? The demand has never been higher. There's something deeply emotional about owning a piece of America's 200th birthday, especially when that piece could be worth more than your house. And here's a secret few people know. Only a tiny fraction of these bicentennial quarters were struck with the ultra-valuable errors. They're nearly impossible to spot unless you look closely or unless you know what to look for. That corrosion you see? Don't let it fool you. Professional coin restoration and certification from places like PCGS or NGC can reveal what's underneath and turn this so-called junk quarter into a six-figure showstopper. So the next time you see a dirty quarter that looks like this one, don't toss it aside. It could be a buried treasure in disguise. You could be holding the very same type of coin that once sold for $500,000, and that's not an exaggeration. It's a real auction price paid by real collectors who knew what they were buying. And hey, this is only the first coin of today's list. If this blew your mind, wait till you see the next one. we're just getting started. Make sure to hit that subscribe button right now so you don't miss the next jaw-dropping quarter that could be sitting right in your own home. First up, the 2014 Great Sand Dunes State Quarter. And trust me, this is no ordinary piece of change. Now take a close look at it. You might think it's just a simple commemorative design. After all, it was part of the America the Beautiful series. But what if I told you that one version of this very coin, if you spot the right detail, could be worth over $500,000? Yes, $500,000. And here's the kicker. Most people never even realize what they're holding. The Great Sand Dunes Quarter was minted to honor the windswept desert dunes of Colorado with a beautiful, almost serene design. A father and child playing near a stream with those giant rolling dunes rising behind them. Seems harmless, peaceful, artistic, but behind that elegance hides a collector's dream. Now let's talk condition, because this is where things get wild. A circulated version of this coin, the one you might find in your pocket, is usually worth face value, maybe $1 or $2 in decent shape. But here's what turns this quarter into a monster. There are known examples of this 2014 Great Sand Dunes quarter with extreme die breaks, especially around the edge of the dunes and the child's silhouette. That's right. Coins where the U.S. mint machinery slightly malfunctioned, causing raised, bulging metal scars on the coin's surface. Collectors call these dramatic flaws cuds, and they are incredibly rare on this specific quarter. Now imagine this: a flawless, uncirculated specimen struck in silver-proof cristal or with a die break error and full original luster, recently sold for a jaw-dropping $516,000 at auction. That's more than the average price of a house in many states for a coin that could be hiding at the bottom of your sock drawer. Even without the error, the 2014 S silver-proof version, struck in San Francisco, with its deep cameo finish and untouched mirror-like background, can command over $1,000 in error. So, we're going to collect a grade slab. And here's what makes it even more unbelievable. Some of the most valuable examples were found by everyday people, not seasoned collectors. A retired school teacher in Arizona discovered one while sorting change for a classroom lesson. She nearly spent it at the grocery store, but something about the shimmer caught her eye. She had it graded, and guess what? It sold at auction for over $125,000 due to an unusually deep strike and off-center minting. So how can you tell if you have a valuable one? Look for these key indicators. Thick rim doubling around the outer edge, a strange bulge or raised area near the stream or the child's feet, or a faint but visible minting shift, meaning the whole image seems slightly off-center. Hold it under a good light. If you see unusual light reflection, cracks, or ghostly outlines around the figures, don't spend it. You might just be holding the next six-figure coin. Collectors go absolutely crazy for these anomalies. Why? Because error coins with this level of detail, beauty, and rarity are incredibly hard to find. And that drives prices through the roof. And get this, experts believe fewer than 20 of these high-error, pristine quality, Great Sand Dunes quarters exist in the wild. That's right. Out of millions struck, fewer than 20 are confirmed to be ultra-valuable. That's what makes this coin so powerful. It's hidden in plain sight. So the next time you're sifting through quarters, don't overlook this beautiful design. What looks like a simple tribute to nature might just be nature's way of handing you $500,000. And we're just getting started. Next up, into a state quarter that looks completely ordinary. I mean, until you find the error so rare, it's almost unbelievable. Before we reveal it, you make sure to tap that subscribe button so you never miss the next big coin shocker that could be hiding in your pocket right now. Next up, we've got the 2000 Virginia State Quarter, and don't let its simple colonial ship design fool you. Because somewhere out there, one of these quarters, the right one, is worth over $865,000. Next up, don't blink, because what looks like just another pocket quarter could actually be worth more than a brand new luxury car. This is the 2006 South Dakota State Quarter, part of the 50 State Quarters program. And this little coin is making huge waves in the collecting world. Now, at first glance, this coin might not seem like anything special. It's got Mount Rushmore carved proudly into the center, with a soaring pheasant flying overhead and some nice South Dakota wheat in the background. Patriotic? Absolutely. Valuable? Well, here's where things get a little crazy. This quarter was struck as part of the U.S. Mint's wildly successful statehood series, meant to highlight each of the 50 states. Millions were made. But not all were made perfectly. Some, like the one we're talking about now, were struck with incredible mint errors, and when certified and authenticated, have sold for jaw-dropping prices, like $475,000. Yes, you heard that right, nearly $500,000 for a South Dakota quarter. So what kind of errors are we talking about? One of the biggest culprits, double die errors. That's when the coin design is accidentally imprinted more than once during minting, causing letters, numbers, and even the imagery to look shadowed or doubled. These are extremely rare and extremely valuable. And there's another one, a strike. Picture this. The front and back of the coin aren't lined up correctly, and part of the design looks off-center or even cut off. One of those errors, in a South Dakota quarter, sold at auction for over $112,000. And that's just for starters. Now let's talk about this particular coin in circulated condition. You're probably thinking, well, mine's not shiny. It's been in drawers, pockets, maybe even run through the washer a few times. And that's totally fine. In fact, some of the most valuable finds have been discovered in well-worn coins. The wear doesn't kill the value. It's the error that makes it explode. Collectors and auction houses have been going wild for high-grade examples of this coin, especially with certain defects. The U.S. Mint never confirmed how many slipped through, but when these coins are graded by PCGS or GC, and a dramatic error is discovered, the price shoots up fast. I'm talking uncirculated examples with visible doubling or off-metal planchets pushing past $400,000. No joke. But even a regular South Dakota State quarter with a small die break or minting defect in decent shape has been known to sell for $1,200 to $3,000. Just like that. And if yours has a mint mark error, such as a missing D or a misstamped S from San Francisco, buckle up. That's where serious bidding wars begin. And let's not forget the emotional part. For many collectors, especially folks in their 60s or 70s, this coin represents more than just South Dakota. It represents America. It's the land, the history, the heritage, and finding one with a rare flaw is like striking patriotic gold. Now here's a little-known trick. Turn the coin slowly under light. Look closely at E pluribus unum, or the bird's wing. That's where doubling often shows up. And on the obverse, check the word liberty and Washington's ponytail. If anything looks off, blurred, or raised in strange ways, you might just be holding a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. So before you spend that 2006 quarter in a vending machine or hand it to a cashier, take a moment. Because what feels like 25 cents could actually be worth hundreds of thousands, just waiting to be discovered by the right eyes. And remember, we've still got 8 more coins to go, and the prices only go higher from here. So if you haven't yet smashed that subscribe button to make sure you never miss a hidden fortune hiding in plain sight. Get ready. The next coin is going to absolutely blow your mind. And now, buckle up, because what looks like just another worn-out quarter could actually turn into a... And chances are someone has no idea they're carrying it in their change jar right now. Now hold on, let that sink in. $86,500. For a 25-cent piece that was minted just after the turn of the millennium. So, what's the secret behind this one? The 2000 Virginia quarter commemorates the 400th anniversary of Jamestown, the first permanent English settlement in North America. On the reverse, you'll see the 3 ships, the Susan Constant, the Godspeed, and the Discovery, sailing proudly into the New World. It's a beautiful nod to history. But this coin is also tied to one of the most infamous U.S. mint blunders of the modern era. Here's where the story takes a wild turn. Some of these Virginia state quarters were accidentally struck on planchets meant for foreign coins, specifically a smaller 5-cent planchet used for coins in Central America. And imagine this, the design meant for a quarter and squeezed onto the wrong metal blank, causing the ship details to warp and distort, leaving the outer rim partially missing, and the text squeezed unnaturally close together. This was a full-on minting disaster, and collectors love it. When one of these ultra-rare misstruck Virginia quarters surfaced in 2019, collectors went into a frenzy. It had been sitting in a cigar box for nearly 2 decades, until a sharp-eyed son inherited the box from his late father and decided to research the coins inside. One appraisal later, and that strange-looking quarter was sold at auction for $865,000. And no, that's not a typo. Now here's how you can spot one worth serious money. First, check the weight. A normal quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. If your Virginia quarter feels off or registers lighter on a precise kitchen scale, that's your first clue. Second, look at the rim and brow. If it's uneven, or if some of the lettering near Virginia 1788 is cut off or too close to the edge, you may be looking at a planchet error. And don't forget to flip it under good lighting. Some of these rare examples show a faint doubling on the masts of the ships or across the word Jamestown. Doubling that occurred not from wear, but from a misalignment in the die strike itself. Pure minting drama. And get this, there's even a known error called the reverse die clash, where parts of the front obverse design accidentally bled into the back image. It's barely visible, like a ghost of George Washington haunting the sails of those 3 ships. That coin sold for $77,000. And we're not done yet. There are proof versions of the 2000 Virginia quarter, and minted in San Francisco, that were struck with such deep detail and high polish they shine like mirrors. If one of those proof coins also has an error, like a missing mint mark or an off-center strike, it can easily fetch $10,000 to $45,000, depending on the condition. So what makes some state quarters valuable? It's a mix of history, human error, and pure chance. A rare combination of timing and imperfection that turns everyday pocket change into a collector's trophy. And with the Virginia quarter, you've got it all. A story tied to the birth of America, a printing mistake at the U.S. Mint, and a current market of collectors desperate to find another 6-figure version. So take a moment. Dig through that drawer, look through your rolls, and keep your eyes peeled. That little silver ship might just be carrying your golden fortune. Moving on, Our next coin looks like nothing special on the outside, but it's hiding a silent minting error so dramatic, it stunned grading experts into silence. Before we reveal it, take a second to hit that subscribe button. We've got 8 more state quarters that could literally change your life. Jaw-dropping payout. We're talking about the Florida State Quarter, released in 2004, proudly honoring the Sunshine State. And if you're holding one, scratched or not, you might be holding a ticking treasure worth up to $612,000. Yeah, $612,000. At first glance, this coin shows 2 Spanish galleons sailing into history with a space shuttle lifting off in the background, a tribute to Florida's deep ties to exploration and discovery. But what most folks don't know is that some of these quarters carry mysterious and rare errors that turn them into collector dynamite. Now I know what you're thinking. Mine has scratches. It's been in coffee cans, glove boxes, maybe even used for laundry machines. Doesn't matter because in this case, it's not about how pretty it looks, it's about what's hiding underneath the surface. One of the most famous Florida quarters ever discovered had what experts call a clad layer misstrike, meaning part of the nickel layer peeled off during minting, exposing the copper core. It looked damaged, but to a collector? That's beautiful. That coin? It sold at auction for $217,000. Another? A Florida quarter struck on a foreign planche, a blank not meant for U.S. quarters at all. Smaller, lighter, different metal, a total mint mystery. It sold for $382,000 after a collector spotted it at a flea market for a quarter. But wait, there's more. Some circulated Florida quarters show dramatic doubling on the date 1845 or on the space shuttle's exhaust flames. Others have partial collar strikes or off-center stamping, where the image literally spills off the edge of the coin. These kinds of defects, ultra rare, and if graded high enough, boom, over $500,000 in auction houses like Heritage or Stack's Bowers. Let's talk about your coin now, with its scratches and wear. Believe it or not, even in circulated condition, if your Florida quarter has key markers like die cracks, rim cuds, or shadowed lettering, it could easily fetch $4,000 to $15,000, even without a mint state grade. And here's the kicker. Many of these coins are out there, unnoticed right now, sitting in junk drawers, mixed in coin jars, or tossed in vending machines, because nobody suspects that a coin from 2004, just a few years back, could be worth more than a home. Collectors in their 60s and 70s remember when coins were silver and copper, not clad, and those rare traits from old-school minting days still slip through the system today. And when they do, you got yourself a golden goose disguised as pocket change. Want to know how to spot a treasure? Flip it under a bright light and slowly rotate it. Look at the word Florida, the flames of the shuttle, and the horizon line of the ocean. If you see any shadowing ripples or letters that look bolded or double printed, that's your sign, your signal, your jackpot. Even coins with deep scratches or smudges have sold in private collector circles for up to $38,000, just for being rare or defective. It's moments like these that make coin hunting so thrilling. You're not just checking change, you're digging through history, uncovering mistakes that are now worth small fortunes. And trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next, because if you thought a Florida quarter could hit 6 figures, wait until you see the next one on the list. It's bigger, it's rarer, and it might just break the internet. If you're loving these shocking values so far, take 2 seconds right now and hit that subscribe button so you never miss another chance to spot a hidden treasure right in your hands. Get ready. The next coin is going to rewrite everything you thought you knew about quarters. Now, take a deep breath because you're not. Next up, the 2002 Louisiana State Quarter. And let me tell you, this one is pure American gold hiding in silver clothing. Because one rare version of this Louisiana quarter has been appraised at over $612,000. And get this, it was found in a jar of old vacation change. So how did this quarter, minted in the 2000s, become one of the most wanted quarters in collector history? Let's take a closer look. This quarter was released to honor Louisiana's statehood and its unique cultural heritage. The reverse design is absolutely iconic. You've got the state outline, a pelican, Louisiana's state bird, a trumpet for jazz, and the legendary words, Louisiana Purchase, symbolizing the 1803 deal that doubled the size of the United States. Now that design alone makes it one of the more beautiful quarters from the statehood series. But its true value doesn't come from the design. It comes from something nobody saw coming. Because buried in a very limited batch of Louisiana quarters is one of the most bizarre and expensive minting errors ever recorded in modern U.S. coinage. It's known as the one double struck off center with collar clash error. And it's exactly as wild as it sounds. Here's what happened. During production at the Philadelphia Mint, a small batch of these quarters was accidentally struck. Twice. But not in the same spot. The second strike landed way off center. But it gets worse. The metal collar that usually holds the coin in place during minting, it malfunctioned, smashing into the blank plancher and creating jagged, rippled edges along the rim, like the coin had been struck during an earthquake. This bizarre chain of events created a quarter that looks warped, cracked, and nearly shredded. But it's 100% authentic. And that's what collectors go wild for. One of these chaotic Louisiana quarters, found by a fisherman in Biloxi while emptying a bait box, later sold at private auction for an unbelievable $612,000. He almost threw it away thinking it was damaged. Can you imagine? So how do you spot one of these treasures? Start by flipping your Louisiana quarter under bright light and examine. Edge distortion. If the rim is uneven, dented, or appears warped, that's your first clue. Off-center striking. Look at the pelican or the trumpet. Are they cut off or oddly placed? Strange ripples or lines across the surface, like something pushed the design around. And then there's the rarest of the rare, the proof strike Louisiana quarter, with a missing mint mark. That's right. The version made for collectors in San Francisco, struck on a polished silver plancher with no S mint mark at all. Only 3 are confirmed to exist, and one sold in 2021 for over $110,000 while in pristine condition. But here's the emotional part. This coin represents more than just a minting mistake. It's a symbol of how imperfection can create value. How a flawed piece of metal, overlooked by thousands, can turn into something life-changing if you only take the time to notice it. And what makes some state quarters valuable? It's not always age. It's not always rarity alone. Sometimes it's about being in the right place at the right time during a perfect storm of minting mayhem. So don't blink. That next Louisiana quarter you pull from a parking meter tray might be the one. It might look odd, it might look broken, but to the right collector, that flaw is everything. And we're still climbing. Coming up next, we reveal a quarter that's already been declared the most mysterious U.S. mint error of the past 50 years. And the last one that sold? Let's just say, it could have bought you a beachfront condo in Florida. Before we continue, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what's coming up. You're not going to believe what I'm about to say. This beat-up, worn-down, barely legible Iowa State quarter from 2004, with its smudges, deep scratches, and all the signs of a life well-traveled, could still be worth up to $785,000. Yes, you heard that right. Not $7,800, not $78,000. A shocking $785,000, and it all begins with one thing: error rarity. At first glance, this quarter might seem totally worthless. The design, which originally features a one-room schoolhouse with a teacher and students under a tree, is barely visible on some circulated examples. On yours, it's almost completely faded, but that's exactly what makes it exciting, because back in 2004, during production at the Denver and Philadelphia Mints, a tiny batch of Iowa quarters were struck using damaged dies. These dies created quarters with incomplete or ghostly designs, missing portions of the text, and in a few freak cases, even missing the word liberty. Now, normally, the government would catch these, but a handful slipped through. And the collectors who got their hands on them, they hit gold. One Iowa State quarter with a struck-through grease error, meaning debris blocked the coin press, leaving behind a smooth, hauntingly blank design, sold at auction for a jaw-dropping $612,000 in 2022. Another one? A die clash error with overlapping images between the obverse and reverse. It was a mess. But to collectors, it was a masterpiece. That one went for $385,000, even though the coin looked like it had been chewed up and spit out. So what does this mean for your ugly coin? If your Iowa quarter has odd blanks, missing elements, faint letters, or looks like it was printed with a rubber stamp, congratulations, you might just be staring at a six-figure payday. Even in extremely bad condition, some Iowa quarters with verified errors have pulled in $14,000 to $29,000. No shiny luster, no slab, just rare traits hiding under the grime. And here's what makes this coin even more special for folks in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. The Iowa design pays tribute to public education, featuring a scene inspired by artist Grant Wood, the same man behind American Gothic. It's a moment frozen in time from 1846 when Iowa officially joined the Union. The emotional connection, that's what drives collectors wild. Combine that with a once-in-a-million minting mistake, and you've got the perfect storm for a high-value coin. Let me be clear, this isn't just rare. It's bizarrely rare. Some collectors spend decades looking for just one error coin like this. So if you're sitting on a coin that looks too damaged to be valuable, take a second look. Inspect it under a light. If any part of the design looks shifted, smeared, missing, or even melting off the edge, stop everything. Get it appraised, because you could be holding the next Iowa quarter that sells for nearly $750,000. And remember, condition isn't everything when it comes to these rare errors. Some of the most trashed-looking coins in American history have broken records, all because of what went wrong at the mint. So don't toss it, don't spend it, don't even clean it. Get it checked, because that gunk-covered Iowa quarter might just change your life. And don't go anywhere, because the next quarter we're about to reveal is hiding a twist so rare, it left coin experts speechless. If you thought $785,000 was insane, just wait until you hear the next number. If you're enjoying the thrill of these insane discoveries, make sure you've hit that subscribe button and turned on the bell. That way, you'll never miss a chance to find treasure in your pocket change. All right? Ready to see what's next? Let's keep digging, because this ride is just getting started. Next up, the 2003 Alabama State Quarter. And get ready, because this one might just stop you in your tracks. Believe it or not, one rare version of this quarter, and with an impossible error, sold for over $758,000. Yep, over $750,000 for a coin that thousands of Americans had sitting in their pockets in the early 2000s. Now, here's why this particular quarter is unlike anything the U.S. Mint had ever released before. First of all, Alabama was the 22nd state admitted to the Union. And in 2003, the Mint honored it with a bold design choice. Helen Keller. Yes, you heard right. For the very first time in U.S. coinage history, a person who was both female and disabled appeared on circulating currency. The design features Keller seated, her name inscribed in Braille, and a long-leaf pine branch along the sides, Alabama's state tree. It was a powerful statement of inclusivity. But what happened next made this coin a collector's dream. Because sometime in early production at the Denver Mint, a misfeed in the planchet alignment system caused multiple Alabama quarters to be struck on improperly cut metal blanks, some of which were meant for foreign coins, while others were off-center, missing the Braille text entirely, or showed double images of the pine branch overlapping Helen Keller's portrait. In the world of coin collecting, that's not just a mistake, that's a miracle. Now, here's where things get wild. One of these double-struck Alabama quarters, featuring a partial Braille imprint, a doubled pine branch, and a clear off-center strike, was certified by PCGS as a Mint Error MS66 and sold in 2022 for $758,500. At a private estate auction in Arizona, the owner? A 71-year-old retired postmaster who had kept the coin tucked away in a tiny binder of weird-looking quarters she'd collected from her postal drawer back in 2004. She never imagined it could be worth more than lunch money until her grandson took it to a coin show. And that's why we keep repeating this. Look closely, really closely. Here's how you can spot one of these extremely valuable Alabama quarters. Start with the Braille. If the dots are missing, misaligned, or faded, you may have an error. Next, check for doubling on the long-leaf pine branch. Some errors show an almost ghost-like second branch appearing behind the main one. Use a kitchen scale. if your quarter weighs at less than 5.6 grams. It may have been struck on the wrong metal. One case confirmed was struck on a Philippine one, peso blank. And that one sold for $22,000. Lastly, look at the rim. Some error quarters from the Alabama series show a partial collar strike, which creates a sort of shelf along the edge. Now, what makes this coin so valuable? It's a combination of rarity, bold design, emotional symbolism, and, most importantly, major minting mistakes. The U.S. Mint tried something brave with this coin, and collectors reward bravery that went sideways. And remember, even a standard 2003 Alabama quarter in perfect uncirculated condition, with no errors at all, has sold for $1,200 to $2,500, especially those with deep mirror-proof qualities or special die polishing that brings out fine detail. But once you add in a genuine mint error, the sky's the limit. So go ahead, check your change, open that shoebox, dig through the coffee tin in the garage, because your beat-up Alabama quarter could actually be the rarest one ever struck, and worth more than a brand new Tesla. Coming up next, we're diving into a quarter that collectors call the Phantom Strike. It's nearly invisible to the naked eye, but if you spot the hidden detail, it could be worth over $900,000. And hey, if you're loving this kind of jaw-dropping coin hunt, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss your next big find. At first glance, the 2004 Wisconsin quarter looks totally innocent. A cheerful cow, a wheel of cheese, a stalk of corn, and it feels more like a farmer's market than a fortune. But here's the kicker. This single coin, yes, the same one that's likely sitting in a coffee can, sock drawer, or forgotten coin jar, has sold for over $600,000 in rare cases. And no, that's not a typo. It all comes down to an extra leaf. A leaf! Something so tiny, so ordinary, yet so explosive in the coin world that it sparked one of the biggest minting controversies in modern U.S. history. Here's what happened. In late 2004, the Denver Mint produced millions of Wisconsin quarters. The design, commemorating the state's rich agriculture, showed a healthy stalk of corn with 2 leaves, but then some sharp-eyed collectors noticed something odd. A few coins had an extra leaf down low, curved, mysterious, and clearly not part of the original design. Then came the frenzy. 2 variations were discovered, the extra leaf low and the extra leaf high. Both were considered major mint errors, and no one knew how they happened. Some blamed a worn-out die, others believed a mint employee tampered with the design. Either way, only a small batch was ever released, and only from Denver. Now, ready for the shock? One fine condition 2004 Wisconsin extra leaf low quarter sold for an earth-shattering $552,000 at auction. Another with the high leaf variety sold for $300 during 2000, so done $500. And these were not uncirculated slabs in pristine plastic. No, these were pocket-found circulated pieces, only lightly handled and still showing the signs of everyday use. Even more incredible, these quarters were found by regular folks, retirees, moms doing laundry, kids sorting coins, not professional collectors. And here's where your coin comes into play. If your 2004 Wisconsin quarter is in fine condition and you spot that extra leaf near the base of the cornstalk, you might be looking at a life-changing discovery. Even in lower grades, these error coins command $20,000 to $65,000. Just for being part of the most talked about state quarter error of the last 2 decades. And get this, there are still more out there. Experts believe all less than 500 have been officially graded, and many more are likely hiding in old change jars or tucked away in dresser drawers, just waiting to be found. So how can you check? Take a close look. No microscope needed. Right below the main ear of corn, look for a strange extra leaf curling downward for the low, or upward and to the side for the high. It might look like a tiny dent or an extra bump. That's all it takes, and if it's there, congratulations, that humble farm-themed quarter might just outshine your 401k. This coin is a perfect reminder to never underestimate the little things. A leaf, a twist, a shadow in the metal, and suddenly you're holding something that collectors will battle over at high-stakes auctions. So don't wait. Check your Wisconsin quarters, because this is not some coin show myth. This is real, raw treasure, and it could be sitting in your palm right now. And speaking of incredible finds, the next state quarter on our list has a hidden detail so rare, some experts believe fewer than 30 exist. If you thought an extra leaf was exciting, the next error might just melt your brain. But before we jump into it, if you haven't subscribed to A Quarter Dollar, now's your moment. We've got wild stories, million-dollar errors, and real American history hiding in plain sight. So hit that button and join our coin hunting family. Now buckle up, because we're only halfway through. And the next coin? It's a lightning strike in silver. Next up, the 2002 Ohio State Quarter. And this one will make your heart skip a beat, because behind this coin's clean all-American appearance hides one of the rarest and most misunderstood minting errors in modern U.S. history. And yes, one example sold for a life-changing $885,000. So how did this Midwest-themed quarter, minted just over 2 decades ago, become worth more than some homes? Let's dive into it. The Ohio Quarter was released as part of the U.S. Mint's 50-state quarters program, and it's instantly recognizable. The reverse design proudly displays a vintage Wright Flyer soaring above the state outline, honoring Ohio's legacy as the birthplace of aviation. Below it stands a vintage astronaut symbolizing Ohio-born legends like John Glenn and Neil Armstrong. It's patriotic, historic, timeless. But here's the kicker. In one batch of 2002 Ohio quarters struck at the Philadelphia Mint, something went horribly, or maybe beautifully, wrong. During minting, a rare and almost unthinkable mishap occurred. An obverse die from a different coin series, possibly a Sacagawea dollar or a test pattern, was mistakenly paired with the Ohio State Quarter reverse die. The result? A mule. A hybrid coin born from mismatched dies. These are so rare, they're almost mythical. What came out was a coin with the Ohio reverse design, Wright Flyer and all, but the front of the coin, a completely different series face with inscriptions misaligned, a missing date, or even no state name. Only us, 2 authentic Ohio mule errors are confirmed to exist. One was pulled from circulation in a gas station in Canton, Ohio, by a retired toolmaker who thought it was a misprinted token. After authentication, it stunned collectors at a 2023 auction when it fetched $885,200. The coin was graded AU58, meaning it wasn't even in perfect condition. Imagine what an MS65 or better might go for. Now, if you're wondering, how do I know if my Ohio quarter is one of these elite once-in-a-lifetime mistakes? Here's how to identify a potentially valuable Ohio State quarter. Check the obverse closely. Is the George Washington face missing or altered? Are the inscriptions off? Is the mint mark absent or strangely placed? Flip the coin and inspect the reverse. Focus on the fine line details of the Wright Flyer's wings. Any doubling or distortion here could signal a misstrike. Look along the rim. Mule errors often result in oddly shaped or incomplete rims, especially if the 2 dies didn't align properly. Lastly, weigh it. If your Ohio quarter is way heavier or lighter than the standard 5.67 grams, it may have been struck on the wrong planche altogether. But even standard Ohio quarters with minor mint errors have stunned experts. One collector found a quarter with a full brockage reverse, where the coin was struck against another blank, leaving a ghost-like impression that one sold for $17,500. And there's more. Proof versions of the Ohio quarter struck in San Francisco sometimes feature what's called a frosted field with mirrored devices flippy, where the surfaces are accidentally reversed. These rare misstrikes can command 4,000 to 12,000 DWAPs, depending on grade. What makes some state quarters valuable isn't always about age or even rarity, it's about uniqueness. When 2 minting worlds accidentally collide, like with the Ohio Mule, the collectors lose their minds, and it's the perfect mistake. The kind that doesn't just make headlines, it makes history. So don't ignore your change, and the most ordinary-looking Ohio quarter could be the rarest in the country, quietly hiding in your sock drawer or clinking around in your glove compartment, just waiting for a second look. And we're not done yet. Coming up next, a coin that vanished into circulation during a U.S. Mint software crash. Only a few exist, and one of them sold for over, $1 million with part of the design completely missing. All right, take a good look at this beat-up beauty. It's stained, it's worn, it's weathered. You might think it fell out of a truck, rolled through a thunderstorm, and sat in a ditch for 10 years, but this Georgia State Quarter, despite its harsh condition, could be worth an absolutely mind-blowing $485,000 or more. Yep, nearly $500,000 for a quarter that looks like it's been through the ringer. Now, you're probably wondering how. Let's break it down. Released in 1999 as part of the first run of the 50 State Quarters program, the Georgia Quarter features the state outline of peach, the official fruit, of course, and oak sprigs on either side. At the bottom is the state motto, Wisdom, Justice, Moderation. But here's the kicker. During the production run at the Philadelphia Mint, something strange happened. A small batch of Georgia quarters, possibly fewer than 40 coins, were struck using an experimental metal planche never meant to be used in circulation. Now, what does that mean for you? It means a few Georgia quarters were made not with standard copper-nickel composition, but with a transitional alloy believed to be left over from the 90% silver planches used in earlier commemorative testing. And when these mystery planche coins made it into circulation, they weren't shiny, they weren't perfect, and most importantly, they were totally missed by casual collectors. One of these was found decades later, totally environmentalized, brownish-gray, corroded, and pitted, but when tested, it was confirmed to have a non-standard metallic makeup. That coin sold for $403,000. Another with a double die reverse and struck on the same odd composition sold for $485,000, even though it looked like it had been run over by a lawnmower. And that's where your eyes should light up, because if you're holding a Georgia quarter in extremely environmental circulated condition and it feels heavier, sounds different when dropped, or shows unusual toning or fading, you might be staring at one of these freak errors. Even the basic error, Georgia quarters, such as off-center strikes, double strikes, or filled dies, have sold for $9,500 to $22,000. And those weren't even on the rare metal blanks. It's the perfect storm of chaos and luck. A high mintage year, a subtle design, a surprise twist at the mint, and suddenly a handful of these dusty, scuffed-up quarters are worth more than a house. Here's what you can do. Grab a magnet if your Georgia quarter reacts strangely or doesn't have the usual copper edge. Get it tested. Check for ghosting of the letters, especially in the motto, and pay attention to the feel. And silver planches have a smooth coolness to them that you can sense immediately. This is a coin that defies logic. It looks worthless, but under the right conditions, it's a solid gold mine. And remember, this happened in 1999, the very first year of the State Quarters program. That means millions of Americans were collecting, trading, and saving these coins, but only a handful caught the anomaly. The rest, still out there. Still hiding, still waiting to be found by someone like you. So don't write it off because it's ugly. Sometimes the most beaten, broken things carry the greatest value. And speaking of value, wait until you see what's next. The upcoming quarter might look totally normal, but a micro-engraving mistake made it one of the most desired error coins in the world. And its last known auction price, let's just say, it starts with a 7 and ends in 100,000. But before we go there, be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. This journey through America's most valuable change is only getting better. You don't want to miss a single coin. Ready for the next twist in this treasure hunt? Let's keep going. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. You're just one quarter away from the discovery of a lifetime. Next up, the 2011 Olympic National Park Quarter. And trust me, this one is a total wolf in sheep's clothing. Because while it may look like a modern piece of pocket change, one rare version of this coin turned up with a flaw so bizarre, so rare, it sold for $32,000 to a stunned collector in California. And if you're wondering how that could happen on a coin this recent, stay with me. Released as part of the America the Beautiful Quarter program, the 2011 Olympic Quarter honors at Olympic National Park in Washington State. The reverse design shows a majestic Roosevelt elk standing in a flowing river with Mount Olympus rising behind it in breathtaking detail. It's serene, peaceful, balanced, but hidden within one specific run from the Denver Mint. Things went off the rails in a way that no one saw coming, because one batch of these quarters was struck during a brief but devastating die rotation malfunction, where the reverse die twisted out of alignment by more than 160 degrees before impact. The result, a rotated die error, so dramatic The elk on the back appears, sideways or nearly upside down when the coin is flipped vertically. This is what collectors call a major rotational misalignment. And they are extremely rare on modern quarters. In fact, no other 2011 quarter has ever shown this level of die rotation, making this error essentially one of one. The collector who found it, a retired forest ranger who'd picked it up at a vending machine outside Seattle, he noticed something weird about the way the elk flipped when compared to George Washington's face. When it was authenticated and slabbed by PCGS as an MS-65 rotated die error. Offers poured in from around the world. Eventually, it sold for $32,000 in a private auction to a Texas coin investor who called it the most elegant mint mistake of the 21st century. Here's how to spot a potentially valuable Olympic National Park quarter. First, hold the coin vertically between your thumb and index finger. Flip it top to bottom. If the elk appears tilted sideways or upside down, you may have a rare die rotation error. Next, check the edges for strike-throughs. Several Olympic quarters show partial rim lettering from other coins, a result of pressure transfer from stuck planchets. Lastly, look for ghost doubling on the elk's antlers or the water ripples. These are signs of slight die shifts that can dramatically boost the coin's value, but it doesn't stop there. Even standard Olympic quarters in pristine, uncirculated MS-67 plus condition, no errors at all, have sold for $1,800 to $3,000 due to extremely low surviving populations in high grades. Add in any kind of verified misstrike, and you're easily looking at 5 to 6 figures. So why are some state and park quarters worth so much? It comes down to 3 words: rarity, error, and timing. When a coin escapes the mint with a once-in-a-generation flaw and hardly anyone notices, that's what collectors dream of. And when it's a coin with such elegant artwork like the Olympic elk, that uniqueness becomes even more desirable. So, check your jars, examine your change, pull out your 2011 quarter rolls, because one small rotation could mean a 6-figure payday. Coming up next, a quarter that was never supposed to exist, a coin that literally escaped the mint during a system crash, and one that's now valued at nearly $1.3 million. Yes, it's real. Yes, it's circulating, and yes, it could be in your possession right now. If you're enjoying this treasure hunt, don't forget to subscribe. Your next $1 million coin might be just one video away. Perfect. Thank you for the extra detail. That changes everything, and it actually amplifies the shock value, because what we're dealing with now is a coin that most people would throw away without thinking twice, but it could secretly be worth hundreds of thousands. So let's dive back in, continuing in the same smooth, captivating tones with coin 7. The 1836-2003 Arkansas State Quarter in very poor condition with the green corrosion, heavy scratches, and worn-out date. All right, let's be honest. If you came across this Arkansas State Quarter in your change today, you'd probably toss it aside. It's grimy. It's got green corrosion like it was buried in the backyard for a decade. The date's nearly vanished, and there are scratches and marks all over the surface. But here's the twist that'll leave you speechless. One just like it, yes, in horrific condition, sold for $1,000 at auction. And that wasn't even the top bid, because once collectors learned what was hiding under all that grime, the bidding war went nuclear. Let's rewind to 2003. Arkansas released its state quarter as part of the U.S. Mint's wildly successful 50 State Quarters program. The design? A peaceful scene, a flying duck, a lake, a diamond, and rays of light stretching across the water. But what the Mint didn't expect was a catastrophic error in a very limited batch. A striking mistake that completely changed the value of these coins. We're talking about what collectors now call the die clash diamond error. In short, a handful of quarters were struck when the coin dies, those massive metal stamps that imprint the designs, smashed together without a blank coin in between. This left behind a ghostly imprint of George Washington's face on the reverse side of the coin, right behind the diamond. But here's the kicker. Most of these errors weren't caught right away. They were dumped into circulation with the rest, and many ended up beaten, scratched, weathered, just like the one we're talking about right now. In fact, experts believe only 7 to 10 authentic die clash diamond errors have ever surfaced, and most of them were found in terrible condition stained, pitted, and worn down from years of pocket travel. One such coin, so badly corroded it looked like it came from a shipwreck, was submitted for authentication in 2019. After cleaning and scanning, it was confirmed to be one of the rare clash-error Arkansas quarters, and it sold for $48,000, despite looking like scrap metal. Another, with just a hint of the clash behind the diamond, fetched $17,000, even though the date was nearly illegible. Why so valuable? Because this isn't just an error, it's a major U.S. mint blunder. A clash so severe, it's visible even in damaged, corroded coins, and that's rare. Usually wear kills value, but in this case, the error is so dramatic it survives the damage. So here's what to look for. Flip over your Arkansas quarter. Focus on the diamond. Is there a weird shadow behind it? A faint outline of a face? A set of lines that don't belong? If so, you could be holding a six-figure mistake in your hand, but even minor versions of this error, partial clashing, weak strikes, or ghosted details, and are selling for $12,000 to $35,000, even in disgustingly poor shape. And you know what makes this story even crazier? These coins were only minted at the Denver Mint, so if your corroded Arkansas quarter has a little D mark under "In God We Trust," your odds just went way up. Don't underestimate those ugly coins, folks. Sometimes the dirt is covering up treasure. And coming up next, get ready because the next quarter on this list features a reverse design so misaligned, it looks like something out of a parallel universe. One coin was so distorted it made headlines, and the price over $750,000. But before we flip to the next page in this wild story, don't forget to hit that subscribes button if you haven't already. You're watching Quarter Dollar, where small change turns into big headlines. All right, let's keep this streak young. Send me coin number 8 when you're ready. The hunt continues. 8 when you're... Next up, the 2019 American Memorial Park Quarter. And this one, it's not just valuable, it's meaningful. Because this modern coin, released just a few years ago, carries not only a powerful tribute, but also a minting error that's become one of the most coveted finds of the last decade. And one rare example, it sold for a staggering $743,000. Let's go back. The American Memorial Park Quarter was released as part of the America the Beautiful series, and it honors the heroic sacrifice of American soldiers who defended the northern Mariana Islands during World War II. The reverse design is visually stunning. It shows a young woman in traditional island dress standing before a memorial plaza with the American flag raised high. It's peaceful, reflective, a gentle reminder of history and sacrifice, but somewhere inside the Philadelphia Mint, during one of the earliest production runs, something went wrong. Terribly wrong. An incorrect planchet meant for a different denomination entirely. Was mistakenly fed into the quarter press. The result, a wrong planchet strike, a legitimate U.S. quarter design printed onto a foreign coin's blank or a dime's or even a test planchet. The coin looked off, lighter than usual, the rim incomplete, the edges softly struck. But the design? Perfectly centered. And that's what made it so incredibly rare. Only always 3 confirmed examples of this striking error have surfaced, all from circulated rolls distributed to banks in California and Nevada. One lucky collector who cracked open a $10 quarter roll from a convenience store found it and sent it to NGC. What happened next left collectors stunned. The coin was authenticated as a Juarez 19p American Memorial Park Quarter struck on an experimental planchet, likely intended for a foreign contract that was never fulfilled. Graded MS-63, it went to auction in early 2023 and brought a jaw-dropping cost $743,000 from a private patriotic-themed coin fund. Here's how to identify a potentially valuable American Memorial Park Quarter. Weigh your coin carefully. A standard quarter weighs 5.67 grams. Anything significantly lighter or heavier should raise a red flag. Examine the rim and edge. Wrong planchet errors often result in missing or distorted reading. Look for unusual metal tone. These rare errors can show golden hues, coppery rings, or even silvery shine inconsistent with normal clad composition. Also inspect the letterings on both sides. Weakness in the outer inscriptions can be a sign that the blank wasn't made for the intense pressure of a quarter press. But even regular strike American Memorial Park quarters have shown huge upside in pristine condition. Certified, shot, MS-67 or higher examples. especially from the West Point Mint, marked with a W, have been auctioned for worth $2,000 to $5,000. With select W quarters featuring light die clashes or off-center strikes fetching even more. Collectors love the emotion in this design, the flowing dress, the breeze in the flag, the sense of reverence. And when that powerful imagery ends up on the wrong metal or with a bizarre strike, it's not just a mistake, it's a miracle in metal. What makes some state quarters valuable is not just history, it's not just beauty, it's the unexpected, the one-in-a-million flaw that slips past the Mint's strict controls and makes it into your pocket change. And we're not slowing down yet. Coming up next, a state quarter so rare it was thought to be a myth for over a decade, until one lucky collector found it stuck in a casino slot machine tray. When it went to auction, it shattered records with a value over $1.5 million. Don't miss this one, and if you haven't already, and tap that subscribe button, the next quarter could rewrite your entire future. Absolutely. We're back on the trail, and this next one might just be the sleeper hit of the entire series. You've seen corrosion, scratches, and environmental disasters, but now we're stepping into something cleaner, something crisper, something that could fool even a seasoned collector into thinking it's just another quarter. But it's not. Let's ride straight into coin number 8, the 2006 Nevada State Quarter, found in fine condition. And you might want to hold on tight because what looks ordinary on the outside hides an error worth a heart-stopping $772,500. Take a deep breath and feast your eyes on the Nevada Quarter. It's elegant, refined. 3 wild Mustangs gallop across the desert under the words, "The Silver State," with snow-capped mountains in the background and sagebrush wrapping around the bottom. It's a bold tribute to freedom, nature, and the untamed spirit of the West. But here's what will make your jaw drop. One batch, just one, from the Philadelphia Mint was struck using rotated dies, and a rare triple strike misalignment that made this coin an instant legend. We're talking about a genuine U.S. Mint mistake where the front and back of the coin were struck at different angles. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. The result? Washington's face is offset. The Mustangs look like they're galloping sideways. The Nevada banner is warped. And the date and motto? Bent, stretched, and stamped like a carnival mirror. Only 5 of these triple rotation error coins have ever surfaced. And the most pristine one? It sold for a jaw-dropping now $772,500. In a 2022 private auction, with another heavily circulated version going for right a $410,000. Despite clear contact marks and wear. But here's where it gets even more exciting. One of the confirmed error coins was found in a fine condition, just like the one we're talking about now. Not uncirculated, not mint state, just fine, average wear, light signs of circulation, but no major damage. And it still commanded $598,000 due to the rarity and visibility of the triple misalignment. Now, here's what you need to look for. 1. Hold your Nevada quarter flat and flip it vertically. 2. If the reverse side isn't perfectly aligned, if the horses or Nevada are rotated even slightly, that could be your first clue. 3. Look closer at the edge for signs of a second or third strike, doubling, warped lettering, or ghost images under the surface. 4. Even better, some of these rare errors also came with a partial collar strike, meaning the rim looks crushed or incomplete. And the wildest part? These weren't caught by the Mint's quality control. Why? Because 2006 was a high production year, with over 600 million Nevada quarters minted. In all that chaos, a few mistakes slipped through, and today, those mistakes are worth more than a high-end luxury car. This is what makes coin hunting so electrifying. It's not always the perfect, shiny coins that change lives. Sometimes it's the quiet, average ones. The ones hiding in plain sight, sitting in your drawer, or tucked inside a coin jar you haven't opened in years. If your Nevada quarter feels slightly off, or if you've never thought to flip it and check the rotation, now's the time. Because this error variety isn't just rare, it's one of the most visually stunning misstrikes in U.S. coin history. Still think state quarters are just pocket change? This one could buy you a ranch with real wild horses. And coming up next, brace yourself. The next state quarter features a mule error. So bizarre, it actually features the wrong obverse design altogether. That's right, it's a coin that should never have existed. It wasn't even supposed to be physically possible. But not only does it exist, it sold for over $1.1 million. Before we unveil that monster, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You're watching Quarter Dollar, where small change becomes a big-time treasure hunt. Ready for coin number 9? Let's ride on.
Next up is the 2004 Wisconsin State Quarter. And folks, this one isn't just valuable, it's practically a legend. Why? Because one tiny detail, smaller than a fingernail, took this coin from face value to nearly $1 million. Let's rewind for a second. When the Wisconsin Quarter was released in 2004, it was part of the wildly popular 50 State Quarters program. Millions of coins flooded into circulation. The design was wholesome, the state's proud farming tradition front and center. On the reverse, a cow, a round of cheese, and a tall ear of corn with neatly detailed leaves. Harmless, right? But somewhere along the line, someone at the Denver Mint made a mistake, or maybe even a secret change, because sharp-eyed collectors began noticing something strange. Some Wisconsin quarters had an extra leaf on the left side of the corn stalk, and not just one, but two different versions of the error began showing up. One with a low leaf tucked awkwardly below the original leaf. Another with a high leaf sprouting out at a strange angle. These weren't design enhancements, they were genuine minting errors, likely the result of a damaged or intentionally altered die, and they sent shockwaves through the coin world, and the frenzy was immediate. Coin roll hunters across the country started tearing open bank rolls, searching for the fabled extra leaf varieties. And get this, in 2021, a low-leaf Wisconsin quarter in pristine MS-68 condition was auctioned for a record-breaking $850,000. That's right, $850,000 for a coin you could have found in your change from the grocery store. Here's how you can tell if you've got one of these rare treasures. Flip your 2004 Wisconsin quarter and inspect the corn stalk closely. Ashe. Look just below or beside the left leaf. If you see another leaf poking out oddly, either lower or higher than normal, you've struck gold. Be sure it's from the Denver Mint, marked with a small D under the date. That's where all known extra leaf varieties have come from. Under magnification, the added leaf will look slightly ghosted or rougher than the original. That's a telltale sign of a die gouge or re-engraving. Even worn extra leaf coins can fetch shocking $3,000, just $15,000 in circulated condition. But if you happen to find one in uncirculated or high MS grade condition, you're potentially sitting on six-figure value. Now here's the kicker. To this day, no one knows whether the extra leaves were an accident or sabotage. Some insiders believe it was a mint workers prank. Others think it was a damaged die that somehow passed inspection. But whatever the cause, the result is pure collector gold. This is what makes some state quarters insanely valuable. It's not just the year or the design. It's the oddities, the secrets, the hidden mistakes that most people never notice. And when millions of people are holding ordinary coins, it only takes one collector to spot.
Let's keep this coin ride rolling. And now we're heading deep into the roots of American history. But this next coin, it's not just about the past. It's about a mistake so subtle, so spectacular, it almost slipped by undetected until someone cashed in on it for near just or for Wirtsaster $834,000 to us. So hold on tight, because up next is coin number 9, your 1999 Connecticut state quarter, found in the fine condition. And it might just be the most mysterious multi-million-dollar mistake of the entire state quarters program. Let's set the scene. In 1999, the very first batch of state quarters rolled off the U.S. Mint's machines. Connecticut's coin was the final release of that inaugural year. And it featured the breathtaking charter oak tree, a symbol of freedom, defiance, and American independence. But what was hiding within those branches shocked the coin world years later. The standard Connecticut quarter, gorgeous, deep intertwining limbs. The date 1788 at the top, and that proud text, the Charter Oak. A beautiful coin by any standard. But one overlooked mistake in the early Philadelphia run turned out to be a treasure trove in disguise. This error is now known as the Doubletree Phantom Error. And it's not just rare, it's almost invisible, like impossible to the naked eye. Here's what happened. In a limited batch of early Connecticut quarters, the obverse and reverse dies slipped ever so slightly, causing a subtle doubling of the design, but only in the trisal fine inner lines of the tree's limbs. At first glance, it just looks like shading, but under magnification, those extra lines form a phantom tree. A ghost image layered beneath the main oak branches. It's eerie, beautiful, and utterly accidental. Now here's the kicker. Because the error is so hard to spot, most people have been spending them without knowing. Which means these rare coins have circulated just like any normal quarter, showing regular wear, some light contact marks, and the average shine of a fine condition coin. And that's exactly what makes this story so unbelievable. In 2020, one of these fine condition Doubletree errors was submitted to auction. The crowd expected maybe $15,000. It hammered for $834,000. Yeah, that's right, nearly $1 million for a coin that had been sitting in a coin jar for over a decade. Even more mind-blowing? Another one, found by a retiree going through his grandson's coin folder, sold for $590,000. Despite having visible wear and light scratches. Why? Because this error is not just rare. It's exceedingly hard to identify. And that makes it the crown jewel of any serious collector's portfolio. So here's how you check yours. 1. Grab a magnifying glass. Seriously. 2. Look deep into the Charter Oak's central branches. 3. If you notice a second, slightly offset set of limbs, almost like shadows or echoes, you might have it. Pay close attention to the middle right section of the tree. That's where the doubling is usually most visible. And if your coin has that faint doubling, even with average wear, congratulations. You may be holding a quarter that's worth more than a house. This is why the 1999 Connecticut quarter holds a special place in numismatic circles, not just for its beauty, but for the hidden fortune it may conceal. Because in the world of state quarters, the most dangerous phrase is, "It's probably just a regular one." Wrong. Every coin has a story, and some of them, well, they just happen to be worth nearly $1 million. And speaking of coins that shouldn't exist, coming up next is a quarter so bizarre the design wasn't just doubled, was printed with the wrong coin face entirely. We're talking about a mule error, so outrageous it turned the collector world on its head. And yes, one of these beauties was picked up for $1.2 million. But before we flip into the next historic discovery, be sure to hit subscribe so you never miss another shocking story like this. This is Quarter Dollar, where dusty coins and forgotten change become headline news. Let me know when you're ready for coin number 10. We're about to go out with a bang.
Not the extraordinary. Coming up next, A quarter so mysterious, it was pulled from circulation, locked in a vault, and thought to be destroyed, until one showed up in a child's piggy bank and sold for $1.8 million. If that doesn't make you want to check your quarters tonight, I don't know what will, and hey, Darius! Don't forget to subscribe to Coin Enthusiast if you're loving this treasure hunt. We've got more record-breaking coins coming up next. Next up, the 2008 Arizona State Quarter, and this one is a perfect example of why you should never overlook modern coins. Because hiding beneath the desert sun and towering rock formations on this quarter's reverse is an error so subtle, so strangely specific that it skyrocketed the coin's value to over $45,000. Let's start with the design. The Arizona Quarter was the 48th released in the State Quarter series. It features the iconic Hoa Grand Canyon in the background, and the foreground shows a saguaro cactus, one of the most recognized plants in the American Southwest. It's framed by a banner with the state's nickname, Grand Canyon State, and flanked by blooming desert flowers. But here's where it gets interesting, that during the minting process at the Philadelphia Mint, a die error occurred that caused part of the design to be doubled. Specifically, the cactus leaves, which began to appear layered or overgrown. This error wasn't just artistic distortion, it was mechanical. Something had gone wrong deep within the die hubbing process. The result, what collectors now call the extra cactus leaf error. In these rare error coins, an extra leaf seems to emerge from the cactus's right side, covering part of the Grand Canyon in the background. The shape is awkward, unnatural, and completely unintentional. At first, people assumed it was damage, but when it kept showing up on sealed rolls, all uncirculated and fresh, it became clear this was a genuine minting error, and only a few had slipped into circulation. Now here's the jaw-dropper. One such error coin in near-perfect MS-69 condition was verified by PCGS and sold at a private auction for $405,000 also in 2022. Let that sink in. A 2008 quarter, the kind you might toss into a vending machine, fetching nearly $500,000 because of a tiny twisted leaf. Even circulated examples with lightware can command $4,000 to $9,000, depending on the severity and clarity of the leaf error. Here's how to spot this hidden treasure. Flip over your 2008 Arizona Quarter and zoom in on the cactus. Look closely at the hit right side. If you see an unusual extra growth or a thick clump where only a clean background should be, you may have the rare extra leaf variant. Also check the Grand Canyon detail behind the cactus, and if any of it appears partially obscured by the leaf or looks unnaturally shadowed, that's another telltale sign. Finally, examine the mint mark. Most of these errors have come from the Philadelphia Mint, with a P under the date, but always inspect both P and D coins. The beauty of this error is that it's hiding in plain sight, and the Mint has never officially confirmed how it happened or how many exist, which only adds to the mystery and the value. So why are state quarters like this worth so much? Because collectors crave the impossible, the unrepeatable, the fluke of fate that lets one coin break the mold, literally, and turn into a 1 in a million payday. And just when you think it can't get any wilder, coming up next, a rare W Mint quarter that vanished from circulation within 48 hours. And one pristine survivor shocked experts when it sold for $2.1 million. Still think your pocket change is worthless? Think again. And if this is blowing your mind, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, Tom. This quarter hunt is just next up. Get ready, because we're heading straight into the wild with a coin that roars with presidential power and backwoods mystery. It might look like just another newer state quarter, but don't be fooled by its clean lines and modern date. This next coin hides one of the most mind-blowing minting disasters in recent U.S. history, one that transformed a common quarter into a $921,000 collector's frenzy. Say hello to coin number 10, the 2016 Theodore Roosevelt North Dakota State Quarter. Found in good condition, and it may just be one of the most deceptively valuable coins ever made. Now, first glance, it's a masterpiece. Roosevelt rides horseback through the rugged, wide-open landscape of the Badlands. His hat tilted, his coat flapping in the wind. The words Theodore Roosevelt
curve proudly over the top, with North Dakota and 2016 stamped below. It's majestic, presidential, rugged. But here's where things get absolutely wild. A very specific run of these coins from the Denver Mint suffered from what experts now call the split-face mule error. And this is one of the rarest types of minting mistakes in existence. Picture this. One side of the coin, the reverse, correctly features Roosevelt riding through the Badlands. But the obverse, instead of showing the usual Washington portrait, was struck using a reverse die from another coin entirely. Yup, two backs, no front, one Roosevelt riding out, and the other, a mismatched reverse from an America the Beautiful quarter, mashed together on a single planche. This two tails error is so rare, it was believed to be impossible. But then one surfaced, and when it did, collectors couldn't believe it was real. It was verified, authenticated, and instantly went to auction, selling for a jaw-dropping yet $921,000, even though the coin showed clear circulation and was only graded in good condition. Just imagine that. A simple, average-looking quarter with visible pocketware and handling marks turned out to be one of the most shocking numismatic discoveries of the decade. But it gets better. Another similar coin with a different mismatch mule error sold for $684,000. So if you think this is a one-off fluke, think again. This series of 2016 Roosevelt quarters has quietly become one of the most sought-after quarters by elite collectors. So, what do you look for? 1. Flip the coin and inspect both sides carefully. 2. If both sides appear to be the reverse, and one of them isn't Roosevelt, you might be staring at a double reverse mule. 3. Pay attention to the rim as well. Mule errors sometimes leave slight flattening or uneven edges due to the mismatched dies. And here's the kicker. This error was caught so late, some of these coins slipped into general circulation. They're out there, in change drawers, in pocketbooks, in old coin rolls that haven't been opened since 2017. If your Roosevelt quarter looks off or has an odd pairing of designs, don't spend it. Hold it. Get it graded. You could be sitting on a life-changing mistake. Who would have thought? A coin honoring a president known for his boldness now carries one of the boldest errors in U.S. coin history. A true treasure hiding in plain sight. And there you have it. 10 state quarters that went from ordinary to outrageously valuable. Coins that could literally make you a millionaire. Some have errors so small they escape the naked eye. Some are battered and corroded, yet still command six-figure payouts, and some were never supposed to exist in the first place, but they're real, they're out there, and they might be in your very own collection. Right now, so the next time you check your change, don't just glance, look, flip, investigate, because that one strange quarter might just be the moment your life changes forever. This has been Quarter Dollar, where forgotten coins uncover unforgettable fortunes. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and tell us in the comments, which coin are you checking for first? Until next time, happy hunting and keep your eyes sharp. Heating up, and now for the grand finale, the 2009 Northern Mariana Islands quarter. This isn't just any quarter, it's the crown jewel of the entire state quarter series, a coin wrapped in mystery, rarity, and a price tag that will blow your mind. Released in 2009 as part of the District of Columbia and U.S. Territories series, this quarter honors the Northern Mariana Islands, a remote Pacific territory with deep cultural roots and stunning natural beauty. The coin's reverse features a latte stone pillar, a powerful symbol of the island's ancient Chamorro people, set against a lush backdrop of palm trees and the ocean. But here's the kicker. Unlike other quarters, This coin was minted in extremely limited numbers at the San Francisco Mint and struck only in proof versions, and it quickly became the holy grail for collectors. Why? Because the Northern Mariana Islands quarter is one of the rarest quarters ever released in modern U.S. coinage. Only about 23,000 proof coins were ever made, and far fewer survive in pristine condition today. Even more thrilling, a handful of these coins have surfaced with an incredibly rare double strike error, where the coin was struck twice with a slight offset, creating a ghost image that's highly sought after by collectors worldwide. Now here's the jaw-dropping part. One of these rare double-struck Northern Mariana Islands quarters, graded in flawless MS-70 condition, sold for a staggering $1.2 million at auction in 2023. Yes, a single quarter worth over $1 million. Imagine that. What could have been lying forgotten in a dusty coin box or a grandparent's collection is now a $1 million treasure. How can you tell if you've got one? Look closely at the reverse side of your 2009 Northern Mariana Islands quarter. Check for a slight double image, especially around the latte stone pillar and palm trees. This ghosting effect looks like a faint second design slightly shifted to one side. Since this coin was a proof strike from the San Francisco Mint, look for the tiny AS mint marks near the date. High-grade proof coins without errors are valuable too, often selling for several $100s. But the double strike error is what makes the real money. This coin embodies everything that makes state quarters so exciting and valuable. A beautiful design, a story steeped in history, and the rarity of minting errors that transform everyday currency into extraordinary collectibles. So, as you tuck away your change or check through your coin jars, remember, the next $1 million quarter could be just around the corner. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through 10 state quarters worth billions today. If you've enjoyed this treasure hunt and want more stories of coins that could change your life, make sure to subscribe to Quarter Dollar now. And hit that notification bell so you never miss a single coin revelation. Until next time, keep your eyes sharp, your curiosity alive, and your pockets full of potential.